In wrestling, there are two sides to every coin. You either get the good side, where everything that you ever wanted for your favorite superstar comes true, and everything is great, and then you get the other side that I absolutely hate. As someone who has been watching the WWE from 2018 to now as a full-time thing on the weekly, I can assure you that I have experienced both sides of the coin many times. What just happened this past weekend on Fastlane may possibly be one of the worst things I've ever seen in quite a while. Now, I have no problem with the show. I think the show was perfectly fine. However, the main event may possibly be one of the worst matches that I've seen this entire year. That match being the last man standing match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Now, before I rip this match a new one, I would like to give a disclaimer. This video contains spoilers to WWE Fastlane. If you haven't seen it and you plan on seeing it, do it now and click off of this video and then come back and you'll see why I'm ranting. Maybe, potentially. Depends on the type of person you are, really. So just a quick refresher as to the type of feud that we were having with these two individuals before going into the match. On an episode of Raw, in the main event of Good Guys vs. Judgment Day Part 578, the Good Guys defeat Judgment Day at number 577, and as the Good Guys are celebrating, oh no, Shinsuke Nakamura heel turn. After Shinsuke Nakamura turns heel, thankfully we already start off better than what we were the last time we got a heel Shinsuke. He's intimidating. They give him subtitles so that he doesn't have to speak his non-native language and he can just do his own thing in Japanese. And he presents an idea that surely would mean that he wins this feud, right? Right? In one of his promos, he mentions that he knows about Seth Rollins' back, and he proceeds to say how he will take out his back and then he will become the World Heavyweight Champion because he is destined to defeat Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins' character at this point becomes like a guy who is trying to hide his injury by being like, hey, I'm fine, and then he, is actually not. Cut to Payback. At Payback, Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins have a pretty decent match between each other, and was definitely the better of the two, as we will get into later. Before the match can start, however, Shinsuke comes out to this intro that's talking about, like, I will beat Seth Rollins, and it's in a manga style, and it looks so cool, and it looks so great, and they put in so much production and money into it just for him to take a fat L. The finish of this match is also my only critique of it. For one thing, this is an issue for both matches. Seth Rollins kinda sucks at selling, so I'm gonna have to just ignore that, because otherwise I'd be nitpicking it literally every time I bring these matches up. The finish sees Seth Rollins hitting a curb stomp and then taking a good few seconds before pinning Shinsuke and getting the win. Mind you, Shinsuke Nakamura did hit him with a Kinshasa that he actually kicked out of, so you're not gonna return the favor. You're just gonna have the one stomp and then that's the end of the match. Okay. However, there's still hope for my boy Shinsuke Nakamura because it's revealed through promos that we're going to get a second match. This time I'm even more convinced that Shinsuke's gonna win because he makes it a last man standing match for Seth Rollins' really bad back, and Seth Rollins is kind of going crazy throughout the entire feud. Shinsuke Nakamura has the moral high ground. Cut to WWE Fastlane, where all of my hopes and dreams went to die in a single match. Before I rip this match apart, I would also like to state, now that I've spoiled this entire build-up for you, that I have no problem with Seth Rollins. Like, zero. What I'm saying is the problem with this match was how it was booked, and it was blatantly booked like this. It starts off really good, and it's about on par with the other match that I've discussed earlier, and then we get to what should have been the finish 5 times over. The first thing that happens is Shinsuke Nakamura hits a Meteora on Seth Rollins from the top rope through a table. Seth Rollins eventually gets up. Okay, that one is pretty believable. That one is pretty chill. We then go to a ladder spot where Seth is trying to jump on Shinsuke. However, Shinsuke gets up, spits mist in his face, and then shoves him off the ladder, and Seth goes through the announce table. There, at the top of the ladder, is Shinsuke Nakamura holding up both of his arms in triumphant victory as the camera beautifully pans over to him. I am out here thinking that this is it. This is the end of the match. Shinsuke Nakamura is going to win his first ever world title in WWE. What do you mean he got up? At this point, I was starting to get pissed because there were also other spots in the match that I didn't mention that also Seth could have lost in, and he didn't. Then Shinsuke Nakamura brings Seth into the ring and Kinshasas him through the other table that was bent in the corner, and it gets smashed, and Seth Rollins is now on the ground again. Shinsuke Nakamura has hit his finisher on Seth Rollins. Shinsuke Nakamura has now laid him out for the third time after he went through 2 tables, one of which was a spit and ladder spot. Oh, and just guess what happened? Seth Rollins gets up again! And by the time that Seth has gotten up again, I already know what's going to happen. A big spot's gonna happen that ends the match, and somehow Shinsuke is going to lose, even though he took literally little to no damage in this match. And well, one Falcon Arrow through 2 tables later, and it's over. Shinsuke Nakamura has lost, Seth Rollins has retained, and there is no cash-in from Damian Priest, because that was nipped in the bud before this match started. In wrestling, I feel like there has to be a balance between believability and non-believability. This match had way too much non-believability over believability. If Seth Rollins has a bad back from the cumulative years of wrestling, there is no way, absolutely no way, this man should be getting up after taking 2 table spots and a finisher through a 3rd table. He took 3 table spots in a tables match that gets you the win. If you're a superstar in a non-tables match, you may go through 2 tables before you finally take the L. In this match, Seth Rollins went through 3 tables and still came out the winner. This feud has reminded me of... can I even say that? My point being is that Shinsuke Nakamura was literally put in the position to win 2 times. The first time with the manga intro, and the second time with this last man standing stipulation and the fact that Seth has a bad back, and the aforementioned spots in the match where this should have been the finish and Shinsuke should have been winning. But instead of that, we get Seth Rollins' plot armor, which of course has to exist in wrestling of all things, and whoop-de-doo, the babyface came out on top. You could have had this happen in a more back and forth match. You could have had this happen in a more believable way, but no, instead you had him literally get his ass handed to him for upwards of half an hour, and then he hits one big move, and then oh wow, Seth Rollins wins, lol. Never mind the fact that again with Seth's terrible selling, he can't even slowly get up to sell the 10 count properly. He was waiting until he heard the number 8, and then just jumped up as soon as he heard number 9, like, oh shit, that's right, I gotta get up from my spot. And after this, I do not care for Seth Rollins being a World Heavyweight Champion. I am waiting for that cash-in to happen now. Or if Shinsuke somehow gets a 3rd chance, which I highly doubt. But anywho, that's all I wanted to do. Just rant about this and how absolutely terrible wrestling can be sometimes. Don't forget to do the 3 holy grails of YouTube. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you later when I'm less angry. Bye!